What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the King's Court with me, Vincent Miracle, here for Fansided.com, GoldenGateSports.com, and now SatKingsNation.com. So make sure all of you guys go check out all three of those sites for our Kings news. And joining me, as always, co-host Ryan Hernandez. Ryan, how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great. It's a great day to talk Kings basketball, so let's get started.
Let's get this started. Let's start this weekend off great. So, Kings fans, we missed the playoffs again. Let's be honest. We missed it. We wanted to be there, just couldn't. Hopefully in the next few years we can start building to it. But, however, there are players that were on the Kings roster just recently and from times before that are on the playoffs right now. There's actually roughly around 16 to 17 players that are actually in the playoffs right now. Ryan, can you name me your top three? And the main question of this topic and why I bring this up is, should we have let those players go?
Okay. My top three would be Grievous Vasquez, Patrick Patterson, and Beno Udrih. The reason for that I say these players is because they were such a big part of the Kings when they were here. Like Grievous Vasquez, he was the floor general, and he was able to pass very well. He orchestrated the offense very beautifully when he was here. He seemed to find the open guys when they were open, so he was good. Patrick Patterson was a very, very good shooter when he was here. He shot the open three, the corner three when he was open. He was able to get some hustle plays here and there. He was a very good player. I really enjoyed to watch him shoot when he was here. And then there was Beno. Everyone knows Beno, that had that awesome stop and pop from right where the free throw line was. That was beautiful to watch. He was just a very, very good player here. He was a pillar of consistency when he was here. So I think that those players should have stayed longer than they did.
Until Tyreek came.
Yeah, until Tyreek came.
And then Beno kind of faded back, and that's why he was gone.
Yeah.
So, should we have kept those three for sure? Do you think they'd be good on the roster today?
Patrick Patterson and Grievous Vasquez, I think so, yeah. Definitely.
What about for people who say that Vasquez, I mean, he was already on the team. He didn't do well in Malone's, system. Is it just because maybe he was coming off an injury? I mean, what's your argument to those people who say, well, he was already on the team? I mean, why would he be good now? I mean, what do you say to those people?
Well, first of all, he didn't have Rudy Gay to pass it to. He didn't have, he was coming off that injury, and he was kind of up and down with that injury. Every once in a while it kind of flared up a bit. So I think that really held him back, was he wasn't really fully healthy. He didn't have that extra guy to pass it to, because he only had DeMarcus Cousins to pass it to, and him and Isaiah didn't play too much together. They did play together, but they didn't play like half of the game together, So I think that because Isaiah Thomas played more minutes than Vasquez when he was here anyways. So I don't think that
he was more productive, though. You can't argue that. He was more productive off the bench than Vasquez was as a starter.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to give out my three. My three who I think we should have kept. One of them is actually Grievous Vasquez. The next is Patrick Patterson. So we are similar there. The one who I think we should have kept, and I think a lot of fans might possibly agree with me, is Grievous Vasquez. I was a big fan of Grievous Vasquez while he was here, and it's not because he was a great player. It's not because, he can come in and light it off for 25 points anytime he was out there. And it's not like he was a lockdown defender. It wasn't like he was the greatest player the Kings ever had. No. The reason why I liked him is because he did all the intangibles. He was the first guy off the bench to give a high five, the first one to cheer around. He was the one guy who you can say he was the glue guy. And the Kings haven't really had that. Isaiah Thomas, he's the starter, but he's the glue guy at the same time. He's the one who meshes it all together. He's the cheerleader on the bench. I mean, That's true. Not meaning any offense by that, but I mean he's the one who's on the bench cheering for his team. He's the cheerleader on the bench when no one else is. Now you kind of have Quincy Acey filling in that role, which is nice to see. But the thing about Garcia was he brought so much excitement whenever he was on the court. He brought so much effort. You know, it was nice to see that every time the game was going on. And I think the Kings now with the roster that they have in Coach Malone's offense, where, you know, Garcia wasn't a terrible defender. I mean, he wasn't a great defender either, but he wasn't terrible. He was okay. He was decent. And I think having that as on your roster, he was someone who could knock down a shot, especially an open shot, which the Kings needed. I think him on this roster now would actually be a good fit. It's nice to see all these players being in playoffs, but does it ever make you wonder, like, you were here, were you the players that we need now to make the playoffs today? Because some of these players are getting significant minutes. Thomas Robinson is surprisingly getting significant minutes on the Blazers. And I'm not saying he's playing great at all, but he's being the energy that he needed to be when he first started that he could not figure out how to do in Sacramento. So, I mean, it just makes me wonder, and I wonder if it makes you wonder just a little bit more. All right, Kings fans, leave your comments in the comment section below. I want to know what your top 3 players are that are in the playoffs right now that you just should say, hey, should we have let them go? Give me your reasons why. Leave your comments in the comment section. Tweet us on Twitter tweet us on Twitter at VM Center. Ryan is at King Nandez Ryan, and of course, tweet the show at SKN Articles. So the next topic of the day today is we're going to keep on this playoff topic because playoff basketball this year has just been so amazing. You know, we're going down to Game 7s, as you all just saw last night. If you didn't, Memphis, Thunder, and Warriors all battled. They put onto a Game 7, which is going to be exciting to see. The East has even been exciting for how lackadaisical the talent is on the East right now. But it's still entertaining. Someone's got to be the best on the worst conference. But, Ryan, we're going to keep on this playoff topic here for this show. What is your favorite moment as a Kings fan watching Kings playoff basketball during the time where they were making the playoffs? The Kings haven't made the playoffs since the 05-06 season, but during that span when they were, what was your favorite moment of all time?
My favorite Kings moment was the big comeback when the Kings were down 15 with 6 minutes and 24 seconds left in the fourth quarter against the Minnesota Timberwolves in the 2004 playoff series. It was the conference semifinals. That game was ridiculous. Bibby and Peja caught fire, and they willed their team back down 15 in the fourth quarter. There's nothing that beats that. Nothing that beats a comeback like that.
Well, I mean, unless they won a championship, then that would probably would
be. That's true.
No, but for me, my favorite, thing of watching Kings basketball, and I've watched a lot of Kings basketball, it's not going to be watching the entire Game 1 to Game 7 of the 0-1-0-2 Lakers series. As bad as it turned out, as terrible as what happened, it's probably one of the worst moments in franchise history. And we'll get into that next. That still was hands down the best moment in Kings basketball. Tell me you were not excited every time you turn on the TV to see Western Conference Finals. Lakers, Kings, Game 1. Western Conference Finals, Game 2. Lakers, Kings. Each game with more fight, more fire. We'll get on to this next, which is basically going to be right now. King fans, let me know now your favorite Kings moment. Write it down in the comment section below. Again, tweet us on all our Twitter accounts. Also, email the show if you like. So, Ryan, right now, we have to do it. What was your worst Kings moment as watching Kings playoff basketball? The worst of the worst. Anything you could think of. And I bet you there's one that already pops right in your head, so go ahead and say it.
Yeah, the worst out of all of the Kings moments was that shot by Robert Horry to make the Lakers win over the Kings. It was terrible. We thought we had it, and then he made the shot. It was terrible.
Yeah, Vlade taps the ball back, and of course it goes to Big Shot Bob hitting that rainbow three. Can I see the Lakers win? Yes, that was a terrible loss and one of the worst moments. But I don't think anything beats this worst moment right here that I'm about to say to you. This is my worst moment ever of watching Kings basketball. In that series, Game 1 to Game 7, as fantastic as that was, Game 6 was the game changer. Game 6 broke everyone's heart in that series. When that elbow went to Mike Bibby's face and he was bleeding on the ground, tears coming up, the team pushing away cameras, you cannot say your heart was not broken because everyone knew it was going to Game 7. You didn't know what was going to happen then, but at that moment, when you saw the Kings were down on the ground, the refs called 25 or more than 25 fouls, but the Lakers get 25 free throws in just the fourth quarter alone. 25 free throws in one quarter. How is that going to happen? Scott Pollard gets fouled out. Vlade, I believe at some point in the late minutes of the game, gets fouled out. Fouls being called everywhere. Bibby then gets elbowed in the face by Kobe Bryant. The aftermath of all of it, Kings lose the series in Game 7. Lakers go on to, I think you said, beat the Nets, I believe it was.
Yeah, the Nets.
Yeah, I'm going to say it hands down. The Kings still got gypped out of that series. The Kings should have went to the finals. They should have won the finals, and we might have been talking something different here on Kings basketball. But our Kings, here on the Kings court, talking differently about Kings basketball.
Yep.
But we can't be too mad. Because without all that happening, without where we are today, me and you would not be sitting in front of this camera. I would not be able to meet all of you guys, Kings fans, talk to all you guys, get your input on all these things, and have this great show and keep moving forward on what we're doing. And because of how great you are, Ryan, what are we about to do right now?
We're going to have a question for our giveaway.
We're about to have a giveaway. Guys, get excited because here it is. This is a tricky one. But it's because we're giving away something from that history, something from the past to bring into now. But you have to answer a question about the past. So here it is. To win this, the Baby Kings, starting five and their sixth-man Bobby Jackson. To win this picture, to win this frame, you have to answer this question. From 2009 to 2013, you Kings fans tell me, not the first round, but the second-round draft picks from each of those years, from 2009 to 2013. Let me know those second-round draft picks, and I will give you a hint. One of the names you should send to me is Isaiah Thomas. Just saying. You should remember that one, the 60th pick for Sacramento. Tell me, from 2009 to 2013, the second-round draft picks. On that note, we're going to end this show. Make sure all of you guys hit those like buttons. Ryan, where can people find you online one more time?
They can find me on Twitter at King Nandez Ryan, or they can find me on the Kings app as King Nandez.
And of course, you can find me at VM Center on the multiple sites, at VM Center on the Kings app. Find me at VM Center on Twitter. Be sure to hit those like buttons on these videos. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share all these videos, Facebook, Twitter, all you can do. Actually, this show has a Twitter account, and it tweets out a bunch of Kings news and when we're having new shows and when we're going live. So follow us follow the show on Twitter at SKN Articles. Check us all out on I have a 3-part saga coming out. Part 1 is actually out right now on SKN Articles on SatKingsNation.com. And be sure to check all that out. Also, GoldenGateSports.com at Fansided.com for all your Kings news. Have a great weekend, Ryan. Have a great weekend, Kings fans. And until next time, peace.